Hi, viewers, and welcome back to SNEP Talks. Today, we are here with a very important topic, which is important for all of us because there are so many confusions about it. The topic is about nomination. Yes, we know that nominations are important and we keep doing it, but there are still so many of a nominee. And what happens when the owner of the asset is no longer there? Whether the nominee will automatically become the owner? So we have so many questions, and to answer our questions, we have with us Mr. Jitendra Solanki. Hi, Jitendra.
Hi Shilpa.
As we know, Jitendra is a founder of SNEP, that is Special Needs Estate Planners. He is also a SEBI registered investment advisor, and he keeps helping special children families to do a better financial planning. So, Jitendra, to begin with, let us understand why nomination is required in whatever assets we have.
Yes, in fact, there have been a lot of talk about nomination in recent years, and there have been a lot of changes also. See, nomination is a very important concept when you look at from the perspective of institutions. Okay, like you have banks, you have provident fund, there would be demat accounts, all financial assets, whatever you can think of. Now, in all these financial assets, suppose there are unforeseen situations, right? If something happens to the account holder, then where will the assets go? Where will the assets be transferred? In general case, we have written a will, so it is going to happen through will, or if there is no will, then it is going to happen through intestate succession. So those legal concept will be applied for succession of those assets. But there is a situation for institutions also that how to uh, smooth out this transfer process to the family members. That's where the nomination concept comes in. So what happens? You, as an account holder, you appoint a nominee, a person whom you want that if I die tomorrow, then this specific asset, whatever money is there, whatever immovable asset is there, this should be transferred to this person. Okay. So what happens is when you appoint a nominee, it becomes easier for the institution to transfer the money to the person whom you have chosen to.
Okay.
You can have one nominee, you can have multiple nominees, whatever way you want to do it. But nomination is a concept where it just smoothen out the transfer of assets to a particular person whom you want to in the absence of yourself. That is when you are not there tomorrow.
Okay, but the same concept has given so many misconceptions in the minds of investors because people feel that, okay, now that I have done the nomination and he's there to take care of my asset in case something happens to me. So what it means, I mean, should I put the person who is going to, inherit that particular asset from me only should become my nominee, or whether the
Hmm.
nominee, whoever is the nominee, will automatically become the owner of the asset and it will not go to the proper person. There are so many misconceptions. So,
Yes,
based
yes.
on your experience, can you just help us understand what misconceptions people have around this nomination?
Yes, in fact, there has been a great misconception about nomination, and when we are dealing with estate planning, so we come across these kind of misconceptions which people have. Now, the first and the biggest misconception is that if I have appointed a nominee, my estate planning is done, which means that I have appoint someone who is going to get the final money from the institution. I don't have to do anything, right? So that is the first misconception you have as regard to nomination. Means people feel that nomination is equivalent to estate planning. Nomination is
Hmm.
equivalent to the money, to the person whom I want to give that specific asset to. Right. So that's the biggest misconception itself, and that's why people I have seen, where people have done nomination, but they haven't gone to an extent of writing a will. Because of this
Mm.
only, that they appoint their family members as nominee in different assets, and they feel that yes, this is how the estate planning is done. So that's the biggest misconception we have on nomination. Uh, I think more than that, I don't see, there is any misconception coming around nomination. Yes, people are not aware of how nomination is applied in different assets. Okay.
Mm.
In demat accounts, in life insurance, or in your provident fund. So how nomination is applied and how many nominee you can appoint now. So there has been a lot of confusion in that also.
Yeah.
So these are some of the confusion which
Yeah.
people have, and where they are probably, I would say, not planning properly on estate planning.
So yes, I mean, that is where it comes to the next question now. One thing is very clear that even if we have nominations, it's not an alternative to writing a will. So estate planning must be there even if we have nominations for all the assets that we have.
Yes.
But now, what does the law talks about nomination? And is it that just now you mentioned, like, insurance policies are there, provident funds are there. So, if the law defines different strategies and rules for nominations in different asset classes, how is it?
Yes, see, as per law, which is the biggest, misconception is that nominee is not your, the final recipient of that money. Nominee is a custodian in the eyes of law, which means
Mm.
the person whom you have appointed a nominee is going to hold that amount of money or asset as a custodian of your, money after your lifetime. He will have to ensure that the money is being transferred to the right legal heirs in the proportion as per the will or as per the intestate succession. Okay, so in the eyes of law, nominee is the custodian of your asset. Now there have been certain changes as far as nomination is concerned. Let's take example of life insurance. So there was a change in Life Insurance Act wherein a beneficial nominee concept was introduced. Now, who is a beneficial nominee? Now, a beneficial nominee is one of your family members. When we talk about family members, wife and children, one of your family members. And if you have appointed your family member as a beneficial nominee, then they are the final recipient of that money. They are the person who's going to have that money, and nobody else would lay a claim on that. Okay, so in
Mm.
insurance we have this beneficial nominee concept. Similarly, if you would check EPF Act, and wherein your family members is appointed as a nominee in your EPF account. So like that, you will have different concept in all these. But very important question that, if you have written a will, can a beneficial nominee concept in life insurance override a will? No, it doesn't happen. Uh, Whenever a will is applied, then will is going to supersede all of these. Okay, so the
Okay.
distribution has to happen through the will. If there is a difference between whom you have appointed in life insurance and whom you have written in your will.
Mm. But what about others, like other asset
So
classes
others,
apart from the insurance?
largely in most of the assets, so you have nomination as a custodian. Okay.
Okay.
Insurance is one, you have a beneficial concept, and EPF Act, you have a different act altogether, EPF. So there is also it is written that you can appoint only your family member as a nominee. Right. In
Okay.
other assets might be, you might appoint beyond your family member as a nominee. But there are certain assets, or like EPF or insurance, where you can only appoint your family member as a nominee. Right.
Okay.
So that's difference you will find in the process of nomination. But largely, as I said, broadly, nominee is a custodian, and second, will is going to supersede whatever nomination you do in any of these.
Okay. So if nominee is such an important person that he is going to be a custodian of whatever asset we have after us,
Yeah.
then how do we go about selecting a good nominee? Because when we are not there and the money is transferred to the nominee as a custodian, finally the intention is it should reach the right person, the beneficiary, as per our will, or whichever way we want to distribute our asset. So how
Yes.
do we select a good nominee?
Okay. Very important because uh, most, in fact, quite a large family dispute I have seen arise from here, that money is transferred to a single person. Now he has to transfer to other family members because he is not the final legal recipient of that money. He might be one of the legal recipients, but he doesn't do it. Okay. So
Hmm.
now the family dispute arises, and there have been a lot of dispute, as per this. So how you choose who is going to be a nominee? Uh, my view is, initially, so you can appoint, your nominee. So it's like, when you are unmarried, so probably you'll appoint your sibling or your parents as nominee.
Hmm.
But when you get married, you need to ensure and you need to decide that how I want, these assets to be given to whom. If certain
Hmm.
asset I want to give it to my parents, let them be a nominee in those assets. If I want certain assets to be given to my wife, let her be a a nominee in those assets. And then when you have kids, so then you will have to plan accordingly. How do you want your assets to be distributed after your lifetime? So largely your nomination should align with your wish how you want to distribute these assets, because what it does, so if your wishes are going to align with your nomination, it will save you a layer of transfer of your assets to the legal heirs. For example,
Hmm.
there is a bank account. Now I want that this bank account should be distributed between my two children, right? But I have a nominee, my wife as a nominee in this bank account. So what happens? The bank will transfer the money to the wife. Now she has to ensure that the money is utilized for the children as per maybe written in the will. So if the children are major, so probably she will have to transfer the money to their account, or if they are minor, she will have to ensure that as a guardian, the money is being utilized for them. But so how do you uh, probably save this layer of transfer which is created? So what you do, you both children you appoint as a nominee in your asset,
Hmm.
give them 50% each. So what happens is that institution will transfer 50% of the money, in two parts to both the children. So now you have saved a layer of transfer. So less chances that they are going to be dispute later on, because that's what you wanted in the will. You have written in the will, right? That's what
Okay.
you wanted. So whenever you are making a nomination, first of all you decide how you want your assets to be distributed, right? And then make your nomination. But different aspects of life. So probably whenever you are changing in your life situation, relook at your nominations.
Hmm. That is also very important. But probably we should have started with this question, but it just came to my mind. Suppose there is an asset and then there is no nomination. What happens to that asset?
Yes, very important. In fact, we have seen a lot of cases where the account holder died and he forgot to appoint a nominee. And probably the olden, in our parents' age, I would say, previously, uh, they didn't, I think they didn't used to appoint a nominee. Not much of the families, right?
Hmm.
They didn't notice this nomination concept so much at that point of time. So now what happens when you don't have a nominee? Now, when you don't have a nominee, so it's becomes the case of succession, right? So
Okay.
somebody is going to succeed that asset, specific asset. That succession can be through will, or it is going to be intestate succession, which means that as per the succession law, that asset is going to be transferred to the legal heirs in the proportion as written in the succession law. So, so in the absence of nomination, the succession law will apply or the will apply. and the process will become a bit lengthier because now the institution will demand, if there are multiple legal hires, all legal hires identity, there would be succession certificate or the will copy would be required. So the institution will have to ensure that the money is transferred as per the legalities involved. They
Hmm.
In case of nomination, they just transfer the money to the nomination. Okay. So but now if there is no nomination, they will have to ensure that it is done as per the succession law or as per the will. So the process of claiming the asset would become, I would say, a bit lengthy, or
Yes.
run into dispute, if there is a dispute in the family.
Okay. So it is definitely, viewers, let us take a note of this, that it is always advisable that nominations are done for all the assets, all the bank accounts, insurances, provident funds that you have. It will, ease the transfer to the next person. The custodians are being created here. So, Jitendra, I think we are coming almost to the end of this discussion, but would you like to tell us if there are any changes which government has done recently in the laws have done, which can be important from the investor's point of view?
Yes, the changes has been done. First, it was done by SEBI, and now, yesterday only the new banking regulation which is coming up. Now, under that regulation, you can have multiple nominees. See, what most of the change I have seen, which is being brought about by different regulations, is that to appoint multiple nominees in your financial assets. Okay, so which means they are trying to make succession much simpler. So if you wish that this banking asset or the bank account or fixed deposit, I want to give it to my two children. So you can appoint both children as a nominee in your asset. Okay, so this is one of the
Okay.
specific changes I have seen. A beneficial nominee, we have seen the concept in life insurance. Now we are seeing the multiple nomination concept, which is coming up, that you can appoint multiple nominees. In fact, I think you can appoint even more than two, three nominees now. So which
Okay.
means succession is going to be much smoother now, much simpler. That what you want, you can straight away put it into the asset.
Okay. So I think we have understood quite a bit about nominations, the importance of it, and how to go about, or the meaning of it. So, thank you so much, Jitin, for helping us understand these important concepts in a nice way. And viewers, thank you for watching our session today. And I'm sure we'll be coming out with more such sessions. Jitendra is there with us to guide us more on other topics like, you know, related topics like estate planning. So, thank you, Jitendra. Thank you for giving
Thank
us
you,
your
Shilpa.
time. Thank you.